Hello, this is Brian Foster, and I want to welcome you to another live stream on YouTube, and I'll post this into other places, um, as soon as we're done with the live stream. Also, I put in there to chat. You can go to believetv.group comments. So if you're on YouTube, you can do a live chat. But if you're not, if you're on Facebook, you need to go to a Believe TV group. That URL in the comment I just posted. But on YouTube, you're fine. Again, this is Brian Foster. You can look up all the information about Spiritism on nwspiritism.com. Again, that is www.nwspiritism.com. You can subscribe, ring the bell, hit the like button, please, to this channel. And we're here to talk about Spiritism. And this week, Sunday, we are continuing on. This is chapter 8 of the book, Evolution in Two Worlds. Now, it's just a very detailed book. We're getting into just the nitty-gritty of how things work. And so therefore, if you're just kind of new to Spiritism, this may like overwhelming you a bit. So I would urge you to go to my site, and I have a book there called Spiritism 101, the Third Revelation. And it is on PDF, which is is totally free. And let me put down how you can get there, so you have that. It's a PDF, totally free on nwspiritism.com. You can also, if you look for the Spirits book, now this one is a good introduction. Actually, this is a good one to read before you read the Spirits book, actually. But all depends what you like or dislike. But the Spirit books is Spiritism as codified by Allan Kardec. It's 1,019 questions that's Allan Kardec put to spirits. And what he did is in the 1850s, he was part of these mediums meetings, and it was like, well, this is weird, because he didn't really believe this. In fact, there's a movie called Kardec on Netflix, so go look for that movie. It really gives you a whole background of Kardec, and it's a great movie, and it's in English. So then he said, okay, I'm going to be serious about this, and he wrote. He wanted to, typical good logic. He was a professor. And so he wrote 1,019 questions, and he didn't give them just to one medium, because who knows who would ask, but he gave them the same question to multiple mediums throughout France and other parts of Europe, and they didn't put them in the book unless the answers were similar or the same. So this is, many other people have wonderful messages from spirits and so forth, but this is a message organized by the Spirit of Truth as promised in the New Testament. By Jesus, I will send you the Consoler, a Spirit of Truth. So this is very basic to our system. This is what Spiritism calls this the third revelation. The first was Moses, the second was Jesus coming to earth, and the third is Spiritism as codified by Allan Kardec. Now, the wonderful thing about Spiritism is it doesn't just stop there. It's not just like, oh, this is a Bible, this is everything. No, we are being told more and more as a culture, as we mature and as we mature in technology. So we're given more and more to understand and to really explain why we're here. Because if some of the things I'm going to explain to you today, this is why I'm talking about this, you put this in context, and I started talking about, evolution and metabolism, they go, what? This is impossible. So it's really, vital for you to kind of get a grounding of what Spiritism is. Spiritism is basically Jesus Christ as our leader. We are here to improve ourselves. We're here in life after life, reincarnation, to change our personality and our character for the better. Now, let's get into this, because this is very interesting. So this is the book, Evolution and Metabolism. And so what the book is it's going through how exactly evolution in two worlds, how exactly the spirit world and the physical world has evolved together, and how the spirit world influences the physical world. Now, the spirit world was created first, then the physical universe was created after that. Now, when I say created, we can look at these things. So let me step back just for a minute. We can look at it two different ways. We can look at it as we're this physical object, and we're in here temporarily in order, our soul is taken from the spirit world and put into this temporary body, this covering. Doesn't make a difference who we are, what class we are, what race we are. You know, this whole victimhood thing is just a waste of time and energy on everybody's part, because you could have been anything, right? You could have been a cruel rich person, and next time you're a poor person, or vice versa. It all depends. You never know. You could have been in China, then you could have been in Africa, then you could have been in the Middle East, then you could have been in Australia. Who knows where you've been? You've been in so many different places. So don't think you're a victim. You are here to learn certain things. You're in the time and place and the culture and the class where you should be in order for you to learn how to change and modify your character and your personality. Why is that important? Because thought is action in the spirit world. And your thoughts can create. You create houses, you create buildings, you create mountains, you help guide the whole cultures and race and the evolution of animals and plants, etc., on other planets, maybe planet Earth. There's all these things you can do. But first, you must go through training, tough training, like basic training as you would in the military. Well, that's where we are now. We are young students going through training in order to really change our character and personality. So we rip out the primitive emotions and put good, honest, charitable, fraternal feelings into our body. And being calm at all times. Look, I say these things, and don't think I say, oh, you can just change like that on a dime. No. I know this is going to take me multiple lives. It's not going to take 1, 2, 3. It's probably a lot more lives for me to really start evolving as I want. And before then, I've probably gotten a little bit better, but it was really slow because I stuck to my materialism and my selfishness and my pride. And only now am I just chinking it out a little bit at a time. So let's get into the book. Evolution, Chapter 8, Evolution and Metabolism. Now, this section is called The Supplies of Life. We see the arrival of the intelligent principles in the world and their respective expansion as being like an army which, to meet its own needs, starts out by setting up its supply source. First, the bacteria appear, cleansing the soil so that plants can proliferate and create a suitable atmosphere for the animal kingdom. After the plants, animals appear, generating organic resources so that instinct may expand to become intelligence. And after the animals, humans being appears, shaping the definite attributes of intelligence in order for humankind to forge its pathway to angelhood. Now, let's talk about that for a minute. So this is what's going on Earth. It's been going on for billions of years, right? Spiritism says, no, it's not, the Earth was not created in 6 days. It took billions of years, just like we think it did. That is correct. Now, it's not correct that Darwin's theory of evolution is the be-all and end-all. It's kind of guided evolution. They'll change the DNA, and they'll make little modifications. But natural evolution occurs too. So this Earth was created as a primitive planet. The primitive planets were young, really immature souls who just have been more primitive animals and just lived by instinct, right? Like a lion or whatever. Hey, food. Hey, you're mine, right? Where you start learning, like, okay, I need to get along with people, and maybe I need to give food to some people, and maybe we need to work together, and maybe I should just be nice for being nice, right? Those are hard things to learn when you've been in an evolutionary process as more of an animal by instinct. So this is what happened. So now we're on a planet of atonement. Now the reason we're going through harsh trials for a lot of us, I'm not so harsh, is we have to pay for our past wrongs. And now there's no punishment, although it seems like that at times. It's the fact that they're trying to teach us a lesson that whatever's being done to us in this life, we most probably did in some shape or form, did to somebody else in a previous life. So nothing is unwarranted. You're not being hurt just because, poor little you, like I say, poor little me. Why is this happening to me? Well, now I know because I need to learn that lesson. And let me tell you, some lessons can be harsh, not because you deserve it or it's punishment is because they probably gave you much more subtle lessons, but you refuse to learn from it. I'm sure that happened to me. Okay. So therefore, as I said, this is the earth. Now, this whole thing he's talking about, I want you to think that just like in elementary school where they have this lesson plan for children, they didn't just create this lesson plan out of nothing. They've done this time and time and time again over multiple kindergartners, first graders, second graders, and they see what works and what doesn't. Earth, what they're doing on Earth has been done on millions, who knows, billions of other planets with other races and cultures. So there's nothing new here under the sun. This is all on purpose. Now, there are some variables that are new. Each planet, when they create it, it has its own little ecosystem. So they have to kind of shape things. So it's not like every planet has humans just like us and with the same ratio of oxygen and all that type of stuff. No, they're all a little bit different. Why? I think that is to keep everyone unique. And it also they give spirits something to do, give them something to organize, give them a life, and it also creates more and more unique spirits because as we go up, we're not just an army of goody two-shoes, right? We are good and we are wonderful. We all have our own personalities. This is the genius of God, right? He didn't make an army of robots. He made an army of really unique personalities that all have their own humor and everything, character and stories of their lives, but they're all basically really nice people and very supportive. That's a tough thing to do. Okay, let's get the next one. Next section is called the progressive phases of metabolism. In all the kingdoms of nature, the spiritual element learns to nourish and preserve itself. See, you have to learn that. You have to learn self-preservation first. That's why when you become in a human free-willed soul, you're a little bit of a, you know what, right? You're not a nice person because you've had to preserve yourself amongst all of the other people trying to not preserve you and to eat you. I'll keep reading. For thousands of centuries, it repeats the process of photosynthesis or chlorophyll assimilation in the green realm, a process which it consumes light energy and develops organic matter, releasing the oxygen indispensable for the constitution of the atmospheric air, and recapitulates in the processes of chemosynthesis in the autotropic forms, like certain classes of bacteria that utilize chemical energy by means of the oxidation of mineral compounds. So they're telling us, okay, yeah, your past lives, you've been very simple organisms, right? You've been a plant. Why do you have to be a plant? Does that teach you anything? Yes, it does teach you something. It teaches your spirit, which is a very simple, logical construct at that point, right? How to control that plant life. Now, as a human, we are spirit, paraspirit, and the physical element, right? We're our bodies. Our paraspirit connects to our body, connects to every cell, and controls all the chakras, right? All the force centers in us. Well, like you do with a kid, they first learn addition and subtraction. You don't teach them algebra right away. So as a young, immature application, what they call personality is you control a plant. And you learn to control the plant, you learn to control the chemosynthesis, right? You're learning all that. Then they put you in more and more complex organisms, animals. I'll carry on. Gradually, in the plant kingdom, the spiritual element assimilates the innermost mechanisms of respiration. The spirit is our spirit, right? And we're learning how to control, how to absorb oxygen and give off carbon dioxide as being that plant. In fact, he says that, absorbing oxygen, giving off carbon dioxide through the stomata and pneumatodes, the criticals and lenticels, in order to carry oxygen to the organic matter for the formation of products for the dissimulation and projection of energy. Slowly in surroundings devoid of organic matter, as in the case of nitrogen-fixing bacteria, sulfur bacteria, iron bacteria, etc., it also learns to oxidize ammonia or the nitrates, sulfuric acid and iron oxide, respectively. During such infinitely repeated activities, okay, when he says that, he doesn't want to say billions of years, but that's really what it is. We have probably lived already for billions of years in these very primitive life forms, preparing ourselves to graduate to a point where you can be a free will spirit. Now, you've got to completely retool your personality. That's where we are right now. It prepares itself to enter the animal kingdom, where in higher evolutionary stages, it will begin the technique of the automatic production of chemical catalysts with the ability to transubstantiate complex organic matter into assimilable resources. Millennia pass until it can control the various diastases, such as protease and zymases among the hydrolyzed and decomposing yeast. So basically you're saying, you're learning how to have your stomach. This is the metabolism chapter. You're really learning how to break down food you eat, grass, raw animals, raw meat, whatever, right? You're learning how to break that down to feed the other cells in your bodies. Carry on. The chrysalis of consciousness thus begins to produce proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, and other forms of nourishment, and at the same time learns to secrete growth hormones and various vitamins during the plant cycle. Not only are the physical body's tissues and organs outlined in the rudimentary forms of nature, but also the spiritual body's vital centers. Obeying the impulse of the mind, they are organized in secure molds with the ability to assimilate the multifarious particles of cosmic vitality originating from the living sources of energy that nourish the universes. Okay, let's talk about that. The ability to assimilate the multifarious particles of cosmic vitality? What's that? Well, that's universal fluid, and there's also, so when you're a spirit, let's step back for a second. When you're a spirit, now, spirits that come from Earth who aren't really too enlightened still want to eat when they pass over. They still think they're hungry, but you don't really need to eat. You can absorb sunlight, the atmosphere, drink water. That's all you really need. You need so much less energy. Again, when you're this small little logical process, this kind of a small P personality, you're already knowing how to absorb cosmic vitality. And with that cosmic vitality, you're also keeping the energy of your perispirit controlling this small little organism, right? And you're learning how to have all these different force centers, these chakras, working together. Now, it'd be interesting to see. Yeah, I haven't seen one, but let's look at the chakras here. So here's a chakra for a human, but I wonder what the chakra for a plant would be. It'd probably be like the crown and maybe the I don't know, the stomach. They have the heart chakra. It probably wouldn't be the solar plexus, honors the life force. That could be it. It'd be just very simple, right? It'd be very simple to control if you had a plant. Because in Spiritism they call them force centers, but everyone kind of knows chakras, so I like to use this illustration. Not much difference. So yeah, so you start off with one or two of these. I can control these things. You're simple. And then as you go higher and higher, you control more. It's ingenious, right? You're creating this intelligent spirit, wonderful intelligent spirit, but you're teaching them over eons and eons. Okay, chemical simulations is next. Governing the physical cells, agents of a spiritual nature appear in all the processes of nutrition, causing so-called chemical stimulations, which are also known as electromagnetic chemotaxis. The intelligent principle, affected by multiple stimuli under the imperative of attraction and repulsion, uses respiration to take in electromagnetic elements of chemotaxis from the storehouse of universal energies in order to preserve and defend itself, safeguarding the properties of reproduction and sustenance. Thus, the male cells of ferns are attracted by malic acid, whereas the bacteria move about also obeying chemical stimuli. Even without the presence of the female that lays them, the eggs of certain fishes in ectoderms, such as the sea urchin, have the ability to attract the spermatozoids of the same species, showing that they emit from themselves the specific substances for their perpetuation. Among the animals, the reproductive cells secrete particular substances which they naturally mutually seek each other out, evolving the psychosomatic vehicle toward higher levels of consciousness over ampler forms of constant chemotropism based on exogenous and endogenous stimulations. So the spirit world is brilliant. So even from the plants, they set up these little phonemes and little I'll try to be simpler, smells and little attractions, right? These very small little chemical substances that, oh, Another plant, oh, I want that. Or an animal, right, where when they get the heat, right, and they just attract to each other, whereas humans all the time. But so these things are they're all made to be stimuli for animals and whatever they are, organic matter, to survive and operate. And these were designed by spirits specifically for the earth. Now, things like bacteria and like fish and plants, they took all those things existed in some rudimentary form or some, let's say, root form. I don't want to say rudimentary, root form in the spirit world first, but they were adapted to life on earth. So everything that I know of, for what I've read, has been in some form or other in the spirit world at some point, but it's been adapted. That genesis of the idea then is brought to the earth, and that's when they started the earth. Right, this was bacteria, and put it with life force, and it took billions of years for that to get together. All that has been done before, and all that is creation over billions of years of life that results in the human that can control a free-willed soul. So it's a very long process. So there's been spirits around the earth since the dinosaurs, Precambrian age, the woolly mammoths, right? Or humans there during the woolly mammoths too, but during the 200,000 years of the first humans, there's been spirits around in our heaven saying, okay, now let's make this little change here. Okay, now this is a dead end. Let's wipe them out. That's why I think like the dinosaurs, people worry that, a comet's going to come, an asteroid's going to come and wipe us out. I don't believe that for a moment. An asteroid came to the earth because it was directed by the spirit world is, okay, now let's get rid of this. And now let's get, different species. So let's wipe out the dinosaurs as much as we can. And the asteroid came and hit the earth. So these things all happen under the force of will, under the direction of heaven, under the direction of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ was at the formation of the earth and helped form the earth. So he's much more than this wonderful carpenter who showed us God's kingdom. No, he's been leading this planet, leading us. So he really is the father of mankind and also the son of mankind, because he came to earth as a human. Very interesting. Once you understand how the spirit world is all logical and remember, there's really no time. There's states that, the state changes for different things, but there's no such thing as time in the spirit world. So time moves here, and it moves at a different rate, right? It's very quick. Things can happen very quick in the spirit world. So let's go for management of metabolism. So laboring patiently for centuries to reach a primitive civilization of the Paleolithic era, the human mind almost fully controls the body in which it expresses itself, formed under the tutelage and ceaseless assistance of the spirit constructors. See, it proceeds to manage the processes of metabolism in its organization and adaptation through the coordination of its own impulses over the aluminoid elements of the cytoplasm, in which the physical and spiritual forces come together in the arena of earthly experience. So remember, your paraspirit controls every cell. And when you die, and your paraspirit is like a little umbilical cord, like when people have NDEs or like this out-of-body experiences, a lot of times they look back and they see this silver cord. That's the paraspirit still attached to your physical body. And that cord can go on forever. In fact, the silver cord was also referenced. I have a video on that reference in the Bible. So when you die and that cord is cut, that's when your body starts decomposing. That's when it's like, okay, we're not controlled. Well, they'll go on by some sort of habit, that magnetic energy, but that will eventually dissipate. But that's really when your body starts decomposing, because it's not controlled by your spiritual director anymore, by your crown center that controls all the different chakras or force centers. We carry on. The enzymatic systems are defined, and the endocrine glands secrete various products reflecting the work of the soul's vital centers, hormones and power hormones, enzymes, cofactors, vitamins, and other chemical regulators, as well as invaluable nutritional reserves, stabilize the organic functions, harmonizing themselves in precise productions and levels in certain percentages according to the instinctive commands of the mind. All the work in the biological field, including the innermost emotions, are sustained by such resources, which are constantly emitted by the spirit itself in the cosmos of dynamic energy in which it manifests its. Valuable experiments carried out with complete success have shown that the myosin itself, or the bluminoid system, we finish this break, of the muscular contraction has the qualities of an enzyme, the adenosine triphosphate, which is responsible for the catalyst of the fundamental chemical reaction that releases the energy needed for rebuilding the myosin particles of muscular tissue. So that gets kind of too deep. Okay, let me show this comment. Okay. Hello, and thanks for your work. How can we determine that a voice physical medium is genuine? Can you provide us with the names of genuine ones? Blessings. Well, no, I can't provide you with names because they'll use whatever names they want. And that's why you have to really be careful. And that's a great question. How can you determine that the voice is telling you is true? And that is, I can recommend a book because, okay, so let me just quickly, let me see if I can find that book here so I can bring it up. Let me hide this. Yeah, that's a great question. And I don't mind going off on, let's see, Genesis, where are you? It's the mediums, not the book of mediums. Okay, this is the book you really want to read to answer your question completely. Let me just kind of give you some teasers here. So Allan Kardec wrote about all different types of mediums and also wrote about different spirits and how spirits will assume different names of who they are. Now, even good spirits sometimes will think, am I talking to Jesus? Yes, you are. And actually, you're not. It's like Paul, as an example. Paul thought he was talking to Jesus. He's actually talking to Stephen, who the boy who was stoned, one of the first martyrs of Christianity. He was actually talking to him. He talked to Jesus the first time, but then Stephen came in and really was his guiding spirit. But he thought it was Jesus, and he let that go. Now, that doesn't mean Stephen was bad or anything like that. They don't try and redirect you too dramatically in what you believe. Now, but that can also be kind of an ignorant spirit or a spirit that wants to lead you the right way and say, oh, I'm St. Augustine or whatever, right? I'm just, saint in the past. I can tell you what to do. So you have to be careful. And what it does is you have to filter everything through your conscience, right? So anything they tell you, they'll probably start out telling you really good things, and they'll tell you things that are uplifting. But eventually, they always reveal themselves. That's why you need to read the medium's book. It's in PDF. It's free. Of course, you can get it on. You can hit the picture on nwspiritism.com, the picture of Allan Kardec, and it'll take you to the bookstore where you can buy this book. It's actually cheaper there than it is on Amazon, but you can also buy it on Amazon or, of course, as I said, PDF. So that's why, when I talk about Spiritism, that they talk to all different types, different spirits. That's why you really, got to honestly evaluate when someone says they just talk to one spirit. So it's very important. And it's a great question, but it takes study and it takes time. And you really need to understand Spiritism, understand how to be a better person. Now, the other thing, let me tell you, a high spirit. Now, this is important. A high spirit isn't going to tell you, oh, what a great job. You are just the best person in the world. They might give you some compliments, but they're mostly going to tell you, hey, you need to do this. Oh, why are you drinking too much? You need to stop drinking too much. And they're not going to tell you, like, you're going to find your soulmate in 2 days and it's, on the train station here. Or you're going to find $1,000 under your closet. They're not going to tell you those things. They're going to tell you need how to grow spiritually, how to be more moral, the right, some right decisions. They'll give you inspiration for right decisions, how to help other people. They're not going to tell you where to find wealth, right? And they're not going to, they're not going to just falsely compliment you. You got this, a good spirit is going to act like the teacher you probably didn't like in school, but then as you got older, you go, wow, I learned a lot from that person. She or he was hard, but fair, and demanded that I rise to a higher level. That is what it's going to be like talking to a higher spirit. Now, this is going to take a while to do. So anyway, I hope that helps answer that question. But really, is the Medium's book is your key for that. There's also other books. Let me show you this one. And Luis, you may want to look at In the Realms of Mediumship. Again, this is the Andre Luis series of books. You can get this in Amazon Bookstore, and the other one where you click on Allan Kardec on my website. So anyway, I don't mind people asking questions. I will kind of go off on tangents because I know what I'm going through right here. Most of the time when I talk about spiritism, I always can lead into other things. But the evolution of two worlds really gets, and the words are like sometimes it's, come on, it's too much. So I try to make it simpler, but I'm really trying to introduce how all this works, right? This is quite exciting. Okay, let me carry on here. Accumulators of spiritual energy. Oh, wait, here's another question before I start that. Let me show this. So this is Emery Smith and Corrado Malanga claim that our consciousness, spirit, can be transferred to an empty new vessel, such as a lab-grown body or an extraterrestrial body. Please comment on this. No, that is not true. You could probably, so higher spirits can be in multiple places at once. There's an example of Jesus Christ being like talking to multiple people at the same time, all in different subjects. But they will not transfer to somewhere else. They won't transfer that personality to something else. No, that personality is a personality. And you're not going to go in a lab-grown body that I know of to have a spirit created. Now, maybe, who knows, in the future, I guess they could if they had a lab-grown body and they assigned a soul to that body and how that worked. I don't know. I don't think so, and I don't think it'd go to an extraterrestrial body because your soul is patterned and it's going to have experience with that type of body, and that's why you go through childhood. One of the reasons for childhood is for spirits to get used, if they're on a different planet, is to get used to how you control that new body, how you speak, right? How you your coordination and all of that. So you couldn't just be a human and go in an alien body and know how that works. They're not going to do that to you. And even then, your spirit will not be ever implanted into it. So that whole concept is that your spirit is there is not true. Your spirit never is completely encapsulated in any physical body. Your spirit is over here. Let me show you this, because I think this is a great question. And I want to... your spirit resides, I should say, in the spirit world. So you have the spirit, which is in the spirit universe. Now, think of the spirit universe. Okay, let me sit back. So Emery Smith and Corrado Malanga, I'm sure they're great people. And they're thinking of the physical universe as this physical universe where everything's objective. But when you get right down to it, the physical universe is really a simulation. It is a constructed environment where we are into this, what we believe is a body. It's an objective reality, meaning that we cannot change reality. A wall is a wall. My head's hard, right? Not too hard, I can or crush it. So, but that spirit is always over there, is always in that logical universe, in the spirit universe. When you're connected to that by your perispirit, which is probably another logical extension of your spirit, then when it covers your body. So this is what would happen if let's say for some reason you were in a lab-grown body. Well, your spirit still would not reside in that body. It'd be your perispirit covering that. But I've not heard that, and I don't think it's true. And of course, I positively doubt it's true on an extraterrestrial body. So that's my opinion. It's interesting. It's an interesting claim, but no, a spirit exists in the universal database now, and I talk about the universal, the whole universes created by God, and it's very interesting. And I talk about this a lot in my book. Let me get to that real quick, where I try to show you is really what the spirit realm is about. Because you can answer this question yourself once you understand the spirit realm. The spirit realm is this logical construct created by God, which is complex beyond our imagination. And as a spirit, we can exist in that spirit as this, for a better word, they call it personality, like an application, right? Like a very complex app on your cell phone. And we can exist in that, and we can look at it logically. We can look at the data, right? And we can process the data. Or let's say there's the Mona Lisa, and we can look at how the pixels are set in the Mona Lisa through data representation. Or we can say, okay, no, I want to exist in this world in this quasi-physical form, this ethereal form, which we still believe we look like when we pass over from this physical life to our spirit life. I still will look like, oh, this is my body. Now, I'll look younger and better. I'll have a full head of hair, right? Most people get to where they're in their 20s or 30s. If you're young, you get older. If you're old, you get younger. You can appear for that because that's familiar, right? That's what we've grown up with. That's what we're used to. And then when you look at the Mona Lisa, the applications within your perispirit and your spirit will transform the information of how that Mona Lisa was constructed into the picture. Or let's say you look at a flower, that will take that information of the flower and you'll be able to touch it, smell it, right? It's all there. So that's why, like, these people that claim that consciousness can move here and there, they really have to understand the spirit realm and how that works. We're a very complex ecosystem. It's it goes on infinitely according to us. It may not be infinite, I don't know, but to us it goes on infinitely. We can roam forever. So hopefully that kind of helps answer your question. Okay, let me go back to where we were on the book. Let me hide this. If it didn't, let me know. I'll try and do better. There's a lot to it. Okay, so this is accumulators of spiritual energy. Through the microchondria, which can be seen as an accumulation of spiritual energy in the form of granules that ensures cellular activity, the mind transmits to the body, to which it is adjusted during incarnation, all of its happy or unhappy states. So, harmonizing or disturbing the cycle of cause and effect of the forces liberated by the mind itself and the endothermic processes that maintain biosynthesis. Based on this, we make wide use of the antibodies and many immunological agents generated by the governance of the spirit to preserve the body in accordance with the multimillenary experiences as acquired on the slow and laborious journey. Okay. So there are studies based that have researches that have stated that people who are more spiritual, could be religious or just spiritual, right? They're healthier than people who are not. And people who are more spiritual are healthier because they understand that they are part of a higher power. They understand they have to listen to their conscience. And when you listen to your conscience, what happens? Your stress level goes down. When are you most stressed? You're most stressed when you do something bad, right? You're most stressed. Now, you can say, well, psychopaths aren't stressed. Well, they will be in future lives. They'll believe me. The spirit world will teach them how to start listening to they're just denying it now. They're denying it really effectively, but it's there. Their conscience is there, implanted by God. It's there, but they just completely ignore it. They overpower it. They dominate it. It's not going to happen forever. So your stress level goes down. And this is what he says, in happy or unhappy states. you're a healthier person when you really listen to your consciousness. And of course, that's why we're on Earth, right? If we can listen to our consciousness and we filter out, it's just like the question, like, how can we determine listening to a voice? Well, one thing is filter everything that voice, and this goes to your friends and family and everyone else. Does it pass the filter of the conscience? If it doesn't, don't listen to those people. They go, well, no, if you do this, you'll be rich and happy and you'll have all sorts of girlfriends or boyfriends. Well, yeah, you probably will, but is it worth it in this one little short life to completely retard your progress on this great, opportunity to rise in heaven and to be rewarded 100-fold and to live with great people and do what you want to be and be forever healthy instead of going down to the lower zone and having to learn things? Everyone will rise from the lower zone or the dark abyss, or purgatory as other people call it. It's not pleasant. So is it worth it for 10 years of pleasure, which you're not really learning much except wanting more pleasure, versus a lifetime of spiritual improvement? That's up to everyone to decide. But that is why spiritual people are healthier, because your body will become just out of harmony, disharmonized, if you're under stress. It makes a big difference. Okay. Likewise, functioning automatically, we have secretin, thyroxine, other type of hormones. Okay. Determine the impulses of the mind is next. Upon those same foundations, we also find the numerous enzymes, such as pepsin, isolated by Northrop, and catalase, defined by von Euler, and many others that science will eventually discover, study, fixate, and manipulate for the maintenance and defense of human beings' physical health and mental integrity in the framework of humankind's merits. All the special states of the organic world, including the continual renewal of cells, the prostration of sleep, artistic passion, religious ecstasy, and mediumistic trances, are cradled in the cellular circuits by subtle fermentations. These fermentations are born there through commanding impulses of the mind, converted by it into magneto-electrical chemical substances in the organs, sent from one tissue to another, possessing the ability to abruptly interfere with the molecular properties or catalyzing reactions of that type, destined to ensure the order and safety of life in the web of biological action. So basically, it's controlling everything, right? Your your crown center is controlling everything. In similar circumstances, in the injury to the brain caused by anger and nervous collapse, epilepsy and schizophrenia, as well as many other anomalous conditions of the individual, we find the same enzymatic reactions in the cells, but as degenerative energies that correspond to the mental upheavals that cause them. So, a lot of mental illness. Now, first, before I say anything, does anyone that has any mental problems, please go to their doctor, a psychiatrist, or psychologist. But Spiritism have set up Spiritism hospitals in Brazil, where they will get to the root cause. Now, just as this one person asked about voices talking to them, a lot of people are mentally attacked by spirits who are seeking revenge for something that person did in a previous life. That person has no knowledge of what they did, but they want revenge. And therefore, they feed them this misinformation. They talk to them and give them dumb things, right? They make them feel bad. They make them feel depressed. And that's because those spirits are trying to persecute that. Now, the knowledge of, once you understand Spiritism, you don't need to persecute anyone or get revenge on anyone. The spirit world, by looking and tracking everything that person does, will figure out quite well what that person needs to go through in the current or their next life for them to learn what they need to learn, not to behave in that manner. You don't need to ever do that. But this is why when these inspirations, these bad inspirations, and they're causing this disharmony within the brain, and then you've got all these other things happening. Lastly is metabolism of the body and the soul. Consequently, metabolism is under the spirit's supervision with the same intensity and exactitude as the percentage of the individual's responsibility based on his or her knowledge and discernment. Now he means spiritual, right? So think about it. So the higher the spirit can really control their body more. You've heard of these yogas in India who can, can like not eat, and just live by light, or Jesus walking on water, right? These high spirits can control that algorithm, that human body algorithm that we are, with certitude, right? The higher spirit can control that. It's like Jesus could control so much more. When he spoke, he put visions in people's mind. That's why he was so effective speaker. That's why people came all over to hear him talk. I mean, how can this guy for 3 years make such an impact on the earth? Because he had really special powers. He was the high spirit. He is the governor, the leader of our planet. The other people that came, Socrates, Confucius, Lao Tzu, Buddha, all those, they were all people that were directed by Jesus to come to earth to teach us most, the golden rule and those type of things. So, based on his or her knowledge and discernment. So you control as you get higher and higher, as you can help yourself spiritually, and as you live a better life. Remember, your next life is going to be better and better. And in the flowering of the intelligence, we can identify it not only in the experience of organic forces, but also in the realm of the soul. Since organized thought is dynamic thought, and by means of conscious and living thought, human beings emit creative and renewing energies that will forge in matter, space, and time, thus weaving of their own destiny. So, I hope that was interesting for everyone. And please keep giving me questions. I don't mind that. Tuesday, we'll go over Wander in Spirit Land, where it's a wonderful book I've been going through chapter by chapter. And then, of course, I upload videos. So this video will be uploaded pretty soon. I try to upload that on YouTube, BitChute, Rumble. So in case YouTube takes us down, because after all, we're talking about goodness and truth and God, and they probably don't like that, unfortunately, for YouTube. Hopefully they will change in the near future. I predict they will. So, so if you have any questions, let me know. Again, go to nwspiritism.com and check out my free PDF book. I'll show this book right here. Spiritism 101, the Third Revelation. Yeah, of course, it's on Kindle, paperback, and Audible. But then in the spirit realm is, if you really want to know what the physical and the spiritual universe, what we are, what is the life destiny of a spirit, how spirits are created, how spirits mature or educated, how you can go through what your future is going to be, I recommend the spirit realm. So anyone I want to say is, God bless everyone. God bless.